Gemini, how are you? My name is Lauren B. Welcome to the Untitled Tarot. So I have begun laying out your spread, but I kind of stopped halfway through because I want to keep pulling with you. I am using the Wild Unknown Spirit Animal Oracle deck for you. Now, it looks like a lot of what's coming out today has to do with some kind of restriction that you seem to be feeling, and the frustration and perhaps anxiety that goes along with that. I keep hearing the word promise. And so I'm wondering if you are concerned if someone's going to keep their promise to you, or if you are going to be able to keep a promise that you made to yourself, even if the universe, God, is going to keep its promise to you after giving you a vision some time ago. There is this feeling of, I'm here, like I'm in this, like I'm committed, but what about them, right? Did you misinterpret? Did you mishear? Did you get some wires crossed, right? And now you're already kind of on this journey, wondering if perhaps you have taken the wrong route. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I can understand the frustration here. So let's pray as we do, and we'll kind of just dig in and see if we can't get you a little bit more clarity. Yes? Father God, thank you for bringing me and my Geminis in for this reading. I ask that you give me wisdom, clarity, and discernment to deliver these messages accurately for Gemini's highest of love, light, alignment, and assignment. We praise you, we love you, we thank you always. We give you all the glory and the honor for these messages to the utmost high. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen, Gemini. So you have this Starfish coming out first. It feels like this is sort of the main focus in your mind's eye. Like, what is your star, Gemini? Like, what is your goal? What do your ambitions look like? Is this like how you see yourself in the most idealized version? It feels like it's just sort of fixed. They're almost showing it to me like plastered over your third eye. It's like the main focus that you have. I wonder if you've been devoting a lot of time to manifesting or setting your intentions or praying, asking. Like there is something about that. It almost feels like for those of you that have been asking or praying, it's almost tipped over into the energy of like begging. It's like, please do this for me, like please help me. Like there is this deep sense of sadness that goes on with this feeling of like just desperate for a sign or like desperate for change. I'm even wondering if like you're seeing an increase in signs and synchronicities and confirmations, like 777, like you are on the right track, but it almost feels like they're not permeating the spirit like they used to, almost as if you've seen so many angel numbers in your life that they don't really affect you anymore. You're focused on like the physical change. What I notice is this starfish, it seems to be landlocked. I almost wish that it was like floating around in a blue background in some water. And that's why I get this impression, as I said earlier, that it feels like you were made a promise, or you made a promise to yourself, or you received some type of vision and you started off on this path, the path to your star, the path to you being the star, right? The path to fulfillment. And then somewhere along the way, you kind of got like washed up to shore, and you've kept this image fixed in your mind the whole time. But there is a sense of drying up, hope drying up, right? Passion drying up, it's like drive. It's like kind of like the will to go on and keep pursuing this thing seems to be really drying up for you. There's horses coming up next, and so there is a stagnancy, there's like a lack of mobility here as well. Horses, for me, they bring up a lot of the energy of freedom, and so also feeling as if you are not free to just pursue the things that you want to pursue because there is like a constant problem or like a constant blockage. Like there's always another hill, and I'm hearing molehill, which is funny. That's interesting because there's always another hill, or there's always another like a mountain to climb. But then in my head, I hear molehill, right? Like don't make a mountain out of a molehill. So I want to feel into that energy for a second, because there's a part, I'm double-minded. There's a part of me that goes, well, sometimes when we feel very stressed and very kind of tense and we have a lot riding on something, every little blockage, every little hiccup, which just happens in day-to-day life, right? For everyone, anywhere, regardless. And it can really get blown up and feel like this huge thing. But there's also another part of me, Gemini, that almost feels like perhaps you gaslight yourself a little bit. you maybe invalidate your difficulties or your struggles and go, oh, well, it's just a molehill. Don't cry about it, right? It's like, there's no crying in baseball. It's fine. Just like pick yourself up and just go and just do it. But there is a big sense of feeling very restricted. When I tap into this horse, I don't see it like running and galloping right through the fields. I see it like stuck in this stable. And they're also showing me like one of the hooves of the horse kind of like stomping inside of the stable, and as it stomps, it's like dust kicks up and like the hair, the mane starts moving. It's like the feeling of the only movement that you feel, the only time at this point that you may be feeling like particularly free is when you're kind of expressing your anger, expressing your frustration, or trying to like buck against the stable. It's almost like a protest or like a rebellion. There's something about this that may be bringing out like a bit of a rebellious spirit in you because something doesn't feel quite right about it. Now, the shark comes out in reverse. Now, in terms of promises, are you going to be able, and I think that's part of the frustration, it's almost not even if other people don't keep their promises, it's you made a promise to yourself, Gemini, that like you were gonna do this, you were gonna accomplish this, you were gonna get there, wherever there is for you. And the idea of letting yourself down or being wrong about what you thought was possible for you, it feels like unacceptable. It is unacceptable. With this shark in reverse, I feel like you come from a very long history of people lying to you, or people especially emotionally manipulating you. Geminis in general are some of the most intelligent people I have ever met, almost to the fact that if someone is able to outwit you, outsmart you, even manipulate you, there's almost a part of you that goes, well, hats off to you, because I am very aware, I'm very clever, I'm very intelligent. So if you were able to get one past me, good on you. Like, there is kind of that feeling of like you have this long history of people who have lied to you or emotionally manipulated you, or were able to see things in you that you were not able to see in yourself and use those against you. With this bat in reverse, it feels like the revelation of secrets. And so part of this frustration or this anger, it may be in relation to a lot of times in the past where you got stuck in a stable or where you got landlocked because you did trust someone or you did trust something that turned out to be very manipulative in nature. And even though you're in a different position now, even though you have a different vision now, and in very many ways you're a different person now, there still is like this deeply rooted fear of being lied to or being misled again. I see this hawk coming out in reverse. We're seeing a lot of these reversals coming up right now, which just indicates for me, like, it's a very personal and it's a very internal process. We do have this full moon coming up tomorrow at the time that I'm filming this. All the readings are timeless, but let's be cognizant of the energies that are available. So oftentimes full moons are for kind of purging. So you might just be doing some like really tense shadow work right now, even though that's not what you want to be doing. And maybe that's where some of the frustration is coming in too. It's that you want to be the star, like you want to be in the light, like you want to be recognized, you want to be mobile, like you want to be on the lighter end of the spectrum. And yet again, like there is more shadow work. And the thing about shadow work and the thing about healing is that it never really ends. Like it always just kind of goes on and on and on, right? It's like the Energizer Bunny. So I always like to say, take it in piecemeal, like take it as you need it and you have to do it. But with this hawk in reverse, it's sort of this feeling of, I'm going to have to go it alone. Like I might have to reassess. I don't know. It sort of feels like, to me, honestly, it feels like, I don't know if anyone really has my back. Because hawks denote a lot of different meanings, but one of the main ones for me, and a lot of you guys who have been with me for a while, you know that I see a lot of hawks. It's always this feeling of someone's looking out for me, like there's something bigger than me that is kind of surveilling the environment to make sure that I am okay. And so in that capacity, it just sort of feels like you feel like you're on your own. Like no one really has your back. Sometimes hawks, similar to eagles, bring through the idea of like justice or equality for me. It feels like you're expecting things to get worse And maybe that's also where some of this rebelliousness is coming from. It's almost like subconsciously, or the shadow is trying to hype you up to make a shift or to make a change or do something that is kind of dramatic because nothing else is happening around you. So sometimes we end up being the tower in our own lives because we need to create some kind of change. But there is a big feeling here of you have to do it on your own, or you have to go it on your own, or not expect. Maybe that's something, expectation, not expect that anyone is gonna have your back. That's so shitty though. Like, I don't like that. But it's like, not to expect that anyone is gonna help you over the finish line, or that you're gonna get some extra assistance somewhere. That does feel like really depressive in a way, but there is also a part of that energy that is kind of empowering. And again, you're Gemini, so it's like you are kind of double-minded. So I just see you, one, burning through a lot of mental energy. It's almost like because physically you're not moving, that energy has to be expressed somewhere, so it's being expressed through the mind. So it just feels like you're burning a lot of mental fuel, just trying to it's almost like calculate, right? Like calculate the cause and effect, like try and figure out what is the best course for you to do. Should you be the tower? Should you buck against the stable? Should you wait? Should you try and trust? Should you surrender? Sometimes it's hard to figure that out, and a lot of it requires discernment and also just trial and error, right? Like, should I stay or should I go? Should I wait or should I charge forward? It's different for everyone, right? Let's see what else wants to come forward. The Vulture. So one, it feels like you're expecting the worst, but there's something about that energy that feels very much like an illusion. It almost, I think your next step, Gemini, is to try and remove more stuff. The Vulture goes in and it is a remover. It is like a Hoover vacuum. It cleans up everything and everything. Now, part of the guidance here may be to do an accounting of your emotional state and how certain betrayals in the past, certain disappointments or manipulations you experienced are still affecting you to this day. But instead, it feels like you may just do another spring cleaning. Again, it's all very intellectual. The only kind of the water that we have right here is landlocked, and this shark is in reverse. So again, the inclination is to bring it right up to the mind. You might think, well, I just need to do another spring cleaning. Like, who else do I have to cut off? Like, what else do I have to pare down on? Like, what else do I have to get rid of? But I don't think you have anything left to get rid of. That's the thing. It's like when you have already swept the house, when you have already cleared out your contacts, when you have already stopped going, what else do you have to take out? Nothing. It's something that has to be processed through the emotional body. And I think that's where some of the difficulty is, because it's not something that's physical that you can have or physically remove. It's something that is emotionally kind of still with you after a long time. And maybe that pisses you off too, Gemini. It's that you are so smart and you are so powerful, and there is nothing that you cannot do with your mind. But it's this other thing inside of you. It's the emotions, or the fact that some situations are still present. They still have a hold on you, or they're still affecting your mindset or how you react to things. Like, there's something about that really kind of burns your toast. It just sort of grinds the gears a little bit, but not addressing it, not looking at that emotional sector, it isn't going to help you get through it. It's just going to keep you in that cycle of being really angry. And it is a cycle of disempowerment, right? Sometimes we have to look the boogeyman in the face in order to remind ourselves that it's just a man in a mask, and it's not really something that can have true power over you now. Right? So it's like kind of having to come out from underneath the covers and like confront that. Oyster. There's a part of you that feels like the tests are just tricks. Inside of the oyster, there is a pearl, that pearl of wisdom. And what I like to say is that for me, the oyster represents learning lessons or having moments of growth that are actually gentle and non-detrimental to the spirit. Because when pearls are extracted, they typically don't damage the oyster in any way. The oyster can be put back in the water and continue to create more pearls if that is its destiny, right? And so there is a kind of a fear here of that you're always going to have to learn your lessons the hard way, or healing is always the process of having to re-traumatize yourself in order to heal. It's just this fear of is it always going to be like this? Is it always going to be like this? And I don't think that it has to. We have the Lamb coming out. So one, it feels like the environment around you, it feels like it's starting to ease up, or there's a gentleness here, a purity that comes forward in this Lamb as well. There's also a level of like sentimentality. There is a sweetness that is going on around you, but I don't know if you're able to really recognize it just because of the lens that you're sort of just viewing life out of right now. It's a little cynical. And I got a lot of fire placements. I can get super salty, so it's no judgment. But it is just, again, is it ever going to change? And it's just affecting, it's kind of, you know that saying rose-colored glasses? You have glasses that are tinted blue. And so it feels like everything that you're kind of seeing right now, even if it has the potential to be very kind of soft or innocent, right? Or like welcoming to you, the Lamb is very innocent energy. It's like you are surrounded by people, or at least energy in and of itself, that intends to do you no harm. But because you have lenses on that are blue, again, you have trouble trusting it. Trusting, yes, that things can get better. Trusting that you aren't going to be taken advantage of, that like there is kindness and ease and flow in there for you. Ooh, this is interesting. You got both eggs. You got the black and you got the gold egg. This is so interesting. You might be doing a little bit of self-sabotage here, not realizing it. And that may also relate to this Vulture. What else do I have to get rid of? Do I have to give up on something? Do I have to kind of abandon this dream that I have? It's because, and again, it's this hawk. It's this expectation of the worst, or the expectation of things not going to change for you. That in a way, it very subtly causes you to kind of check out early, because it gives you a greater sense of control. If you break your own heart, or if you break your own promise to yourself, if you give up on your own dream or your own goal, then you rejected it. It didn't reject you. But you have this golden egg coming out as your final card, which this is one of the most beautiful cards in this entire deck. This is like the World, and it's like the Wheel of Fortune for me. It's something that's really precious. It's sort of also, sometimes I pull this and it feels like I've got the golden ticket. It's almost like assured success in a way. And perhaps that's an aspect of you, Gemini, that you forget about. It's like your sheer tenacity. It's like you are like a dog with a bone. It's like when you set your sights on something, come hell or high water, like you're gonna get it. You're gonna get there. You might just have to swim for a long time. You might have to tread water, but like sooner or later, like you will outlast all of the obstacles that come your way, because it's like you're just that ferocious in your search. And perhaps the difficulties have just they've just broken your spirit a little bit, because you've been sidelined, or because you've been landlocked, or kind of stuck in that stable. And it's almost about not having trust in the universe. And I know that's controversial for, a tarot reader to say, but it's not about having trust in the universe. And it's not about having trust necessarily in people. It's about having trust in yourself. Because you know that you are strong, and you are intelligent, and you are tenacious, and you are ferocious in your pursuit of what feels like it is meant to be yours. And when you remember that, the obstacles, whether they be mountains or molehills, they don't matter so much anymore. The people in your past that may have taken liberties with you or been manipulative to you, they don't matter anymore. You don't feel the need to sort of endlessly or recklessly pull things out, give up on things, purge people, cut stuff off, because it doesn't matter even if they are in your environment, because it's still not gonna stop you. And when you tap in to that energy, it is much more expansive. You move into the light, right? And this is, see how it's around this nest? It's this aspect of you, Gemini, that has been kind of tucked away and it's been hidden. And I think the funny thing is that it actually is connected to your emotional body, which is part of the reason why it's so important for you to kind of emotionally, not intellectually, but emotionally connect to the things, the betrayals, the manipulations, the things that made you lose trust. It's so important that you emotionally look at that boogeyman in the closet, because it's less about those people and it's less about those situations and more about how those people or how those situations made you lose trust in yourself. And that is the blockage. And that is the problem. It's not your dream. It's not who you want to be. It's not even any of these obstacles. Like, they're pittance in comparison to the power of you. It's about you not trusting yourself. And once you start to do that, it's sort of like this badass feeling. It's like, once you remember that, like, you are a badass, and sometimes we all stumble and sometimes we all eat a little bit of shit, but at the end of the day, life can't stop you. If there is one worthy opponent of a Gemini, it is life. And you are well matched mentally, emotionally, spiritually, to take that on. So I encourage you, this reading is yours, to really sit with that and really think about when you lost trust in yourself and how that has impacted you throughout the course of maybe many years. And what do we have to do to get that back, that trust in self? Because when you trust in yourself, nothing can stop you. Very good? Very good. So this is what I have for you, Gem. I am going to do an extended reading because I'd like to see if we can pull out like a little bit more guidance for you. If you're interested in your extended reading, your monthly reading, or your mid-monthly reading for April, all the links to Vimeo and Patreon will be in the description box. If you're interested in one-on-one sessions with me, you can book through my website. I love you so much. Keep fighting the good fight. It ain't over for you yet. I promise you that. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.